I'm relaxing again. Actually, I'm trying to take advantage of our little space here before my son comes home and uses it. I don't get much time down here. And it wouldn't be so bad, but upstairs I had turned on my light in my office and now it's out. And now I gotta find some light bulbs and stuff. I'm having fun. Been thinking about something. You have family members that drive you nuts. You want to choke them. A lot of times you just don't bother with them because they're so annoying. Well, the problem with that is, what are you going to do when they're gone? I've been kind of guilty of that. Sometimes I'll understand it's got to be a safety thing. You know, like I had an uncle who was an alcoholic. And he was in the habit of beating up people or starting fights, that kind of thing. And when I was pregnant, I was around him and he slapped me. So from that day on, I pretty much kept my distance, obviously, you know. And after I had my baby, I was very careful not to make sure that he wasn't anywhere near that baby, and if he was, there was at least 5 people who could handle the situation, if there was one. And my mom says, "Well, when are you going to bury the hatchet with your uncle?" I said, "When he buries the bottle." He never did. And then um, there was this lady that I knew who, from what I gather from everybody, she was a pain in the rump to pretty much everybody. A disaster to her kids, a disaster to herself. But, needless to say, her kids loved her. And what got me is her family didn't want anything to do with her. No Christmas, no Easter, no Thanksgiving, nothing. Don't want anything to do with her. And my goal was to eventually, you know, have peace between all of us. There was a bunch of us in the situation, and I wanted peace, her included. I wanted to have the peace between her and the rest of us. And unfortunately, she died before that could happen. Now, what bugged me is her family would go so far as to call me up and have me send messages to her instead of calling her and talking to her themselves. So now that she's gone, all of a sudden she's a saint. Everybody's missing her. Blah 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 blah. And I'm thinking, a bunch of pricks. Just a bunch of self-centered pricks who want to look. You know, I ain't changing the fact that she was a pain, but don't don't avoid somebody and then sit there and cry about how they're a saint after they're gone. It's like that doesn't happen. But that bothered me. That whole situation bothered me so much that I tried to fix, repair, patch some differences in my life, different family members, and recently one has gotten better. We'll see how it goes from here, but you know, that was one thing I was telling my mom. I says, what bothers me is not so much as who hates who and who has his feelings towards who and all that kind of stuff. Do we really need to have the person die before you appreciate them? Doesn't make any sense. Today, last few days, I go to the gym. I walk around the track a few times, then I do a machine. Walk around the track, do a machine, that kind of thing. So I'm doing my workout, that kind of thing, and this little old man comes along. And he's pushing his walker, and he's having a time. Just get around that track one time. And we got to talking, and come to find out, he was one of the victims of the Agent Orange from 50 years ago. Never took a claim on it, and somebody finally got him to take a claim on it. Now they're trying to repair the damage, which of course now is too late. And his daughter was there at the track, and she was walking her pace, but I can see the struggle in his eyes. So I walked with him because I know how it feels. It's like I have to use a walker sometimes, and I have to use a cane, and I have my good days where you wouldn't know I had any problems, and I have my bad days where I'm lucky to stand up. Sometimes it even hurts to sit down. So I walked with him. We got to do a lot of visiting, talking about different things, and my daughter would walk by and say, "Okay, Dad?" "Yeah, that's okay." Last time I was there, he did, I don't know, 6 or 7 laps with me before I had to leave, and he kept going after that. Today he did 5. Swears he did 8. He lost count somewhere along the line. He had to keep stopping and catching his breath. And I looked in his eyes, and I knew he's not going to be with us much longer. Not that that's what we talked about. He talked about going camping with his kids and horseback riding, and how he wants to get into shape so he can do all that stuff again. I hope he does. But, and he was there with his family. The kids were downstairs playing basketball. The daughter was up here, up where we were walking around, and she, "Okay, Dad? Okay, Dad?" And at one point he went to go sit down while she worked on the weights, and I could see the tears in her eyes, and she's, Dad comes out, she tries to dry her tears, and I wanted to give her a hug. Tell her to appreciate the time she has with him. Sorry. Because, in a way, I lost my dad years before he died. Alzheimer's. And after a while, I was just a nice lady that came to visit every now and then. Didn't know who I was. And I was surprised one of the nurses was talking to me about how Dad had a picture of everybody, one of those collage type pictures of everybody in the family, and she says, he pointed to one of the kids, and he says, "He's a soldier." And she showed me which one, and that was my son. I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." It's like, of course, my son's group would be a little upset being called soldiers, because Marines are not soldiers. They are Marines. But it meant a lot for my son to know that my dad did remember him for a long time, longer than he did me. But just think about it. I got one relative, we're working things out. And I got one relative so pissed off at me right now. Personally, I don't care, but I got over it. Hopefully learn a lesson. But, yeah. Appreciate them before they go.